Hi, my name's Linda, and I'd like to critique my observations. So, for some background information, during the assess and evaluate point of the CPPF, we were able to observe our resident engaged in an activity. This activity was meaningful to him. It was metal links that form a puzzle, and you have to pull the metal links apart. This was a really good activity for us to observe and do an activity analysis because using the CMOPE, it showed in the cognitive aspect of the person, his enablers being his higher executive functioning. He was able to plan, problem solve, and sequence to try and get the metal links apart, which he did. But it did show his barrier being his memory, especially his recall, because when we asked him to explain that to us, he wasn't able to. In the affective aspect of the person, it also showed that he got quite disappointed when he couldn't explain these things to us. In the physical aspect of the person, it showed his enablers being he had good dynamic sitting balance, he was able to grasp the metal links, and he did this in a pincer grasp, and he showed his endurance because it took about 5 to 8 minutes to do each puzzle, and there was 6 of them. Now, during this activity analysis, I actually became distracted by the activity and I forgot to observe my person. And then when I remembered to observe my person, I felt quite anxious because I thought maybe, I'd missed some vital information. And then after we left the room, I realised that I'm not really sure what information I'm supposed to be looking for. So that made me feel even more anxious. And so then I didn't know if I'd be writing down the right information. What I learned professionally is that I really need to focus on the resident and not get distracted by the activity. So next time I do something like that, I think I'll only do it a little bit when the resident's watching, and then I'll observe the resident, and then I will do that again when the resident's watching and then observe the resident. I also need to understand what I'm looking for when I am doing an observation. And I think that's really important. And I have to understand if I'm actually getting the correct or the relevant information. And I think that this is only going to happen through practice and getting feedback. So my planned action for this is to ask my OT supervisor next year if I could go into an observation with them and write down my notes and then compare my notes to what they've written, and then we could discuss where I need to improve and where I'm doing okay. And I'd like to do this at week 1, at week 4, and then at week 7, so I can see where I have improved. I would also like to discuss with the supervisor what they think is the most important aspect, dependent on what setting I'm in. So maybe if I go back to aged care, there'll be specific things that I have to look at. That would be nice to know. And then if I did something else in the community, then know what kind of things I need to be looking there. I also realised that it's probably a really good thing if I use an OT model to guide me doing my observations, especially something like the CMOPE, because then I'd actually have all the headings and I would be able to see where things are interacting, especially in the environment, and how the environmental factors are either contributing or not contributing to the person engaging in the activity. So that's probably my light bulb moment, because using the OT models is important. So yes, thank you very much. Bye bye.